Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is I, Jolting Joe, coming to you live from my back porch the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And I realized that I wore this jacket and this hat last week on episode, so to distinguish, I got my Remy Martin shirt on. All right, so you're not watching last week's episode, I promise. Okay, different shirt. I know, same jacket, same hat. All right, different cigar, different beer. All right. Speaking of which, what are you drinking and what are you smoking? So, what I'm smoking today is a Rocky Patel 2003, and let me see. There you go. There you go. All right, and that's the Cameroon wrapper. This is one of my favorites. I love Cameroon wrappers. Cameroon is my favorite wrapper, and it's really good stuff. All right, let me kind of angle that down a little bit there. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so that's what we're smoking. What are you drinking? All right. This one brand new once again from our friends at St. Arnold's. All right, the craft brewery here in Houston. This is their French press, which is a imperial coffee porter. Now they make a regular French press that's just the coffee porter, which is really good. But then they do a cognac barrel aged one, which they've done for 2 or 3 years now. But this one's new. This is a bourbon barrel one. And so it says our bourbon barrel French press is an imperial coffee porter. After aging in bourbon barrels for almost a year, we added coffee from our local friends at Java Pura, along with Madagascar vanilla for an extra layer of sweet and inviting flavor. This rich and roasty beer is perfect for for a camping trip in the great outdoors or a weekend brunch in the comfort of your own home. So there you go. So let's crack this bad boy open, shall we? Reach in my pocket, pull up the trusty Swiss Army knife, which of course has a bottle opener on it. All right, and then let's see here. Crack that sucker open. Drink me. Think I will. All right. If you tell me to do it, I'll do it. All right. And in my St. Arnold's 25th anniversary glass here. Here we go. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls, children of all ages. There we go. That should be a 12-ounce glass right there. A little more than 12 ounces. Bam. All right. All right. Cheers, everybody. Oh, that's really good. You really get the bourbon. You really get the coffee. And that'll go good with a good dark cigar there. So that's really good here. All right. All right. Well, it was looks a little chilly today. Now for Texas standards, it's chilly. All right, it's probably about 50 something degrees right now, a little over 50. Rained all this morning. So it's coming out a little bit finally. So I figured get out here before Thanksgiving, and we'll talk some Thanksgiving football and all that kind of stuff. So let me reach into my pocket. All right, here, and here we go. Here we go. All right, pull up the ESPN here. All right, now first of all, it is the most popular sport, of course, in the entire world, and that is soccer, or as it's called in the rest of the world, football. All right, but the World Cup is underway, and so let's click on. We'll click on here, and let's see what's going on. Let's see here, scores. Okay, is that from every? Oh yeah, there's everything. Okay. So, first of all, for you fans that are not familiar with soccer, and I only follow soccer during the World Cup, to be completely honest with you. I don't, I mean, I probably need to get into Premier League. I just haven't got into Premier League yet. And then MLS is just kind of like, the minor leagues of soccer as far as like what they're doing over in Europe. But, I kind of just kind of watch it for the World Cup. And if you're not kind of know what's happening is, and this is like I said for our novice soccer fans out there, FIFA is the international body for soccer. Right? It's basically what the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, is to the Olympics. Okay, so they are the international governing body for FIFA. It's like the Football International Federation, or so the Federation of International Football Association or some shit like that. All right. But also, too, if you've watched John Oliver in the past, he's kind of come up with this too. But yeah, the guy that used to be the head of it, his name was Seth Blatter. Could not make that up. But they are a corrupt organization, much like every single international athletic committee is, or regulatory body is. And so this one was picked, I want to say, like 8 years ago, I think. I think it was a couple World Cups ago, or maybe after maybe 6 years ago that they picked Qatar for it. Now, Qatar is in the Middle East, and normally they play the World Cup in the summertime, especially if they're playing like in Europe or South America or something like that, or here in the States. Which will be in the United States, I think, next World Cup. I think 2026, I believe. So anywho, people are like, okay, you're gonna play this out in the fucking desert, and we can't play it in the summer because it's gonna be literally 120 degrees outside. People will literally die. So we got to move it to November. And so far, I don't think the weather's been actually an issue yet. They've been playing games at night. And of course it's November, so it's a little bit. So even though it's the desert, it's still a little bit cooler. So they did that, and then there was a lot of corruption that basically Qatar bribed their way to host the World Cup because number one, they're a small country. They shouldn't have had the right to host it, and there's a whole litany of issues here. Now, first of all, Qatar has a horrible human rights record, probably even worse than China's. Okay, now of course China's gotten the Olympics a couple times, but part of the reason China got the Winter Olympics this last time is because nobody else fucking wanted it. All right, so they used migrant workers to build these stadiums, and it was essentially slave labor because these were migrant workers, and from the estimates that I heard, 6,000 people died building these stadiums, which that's just tragic in and of itself. So you've got and then it's also it's kind of a theocracy, as many Muslim countries are. There's very few Muslim countries that aren't a theocracy, but. And you can kind of see what's happening in Iran right now, but that's a whole other political topic for another fucking day. This is a sports show, goddammit. But of course, politics are going to play into sports here. So anyway, they basically bribed their way to get it. Also, too, I saw a thing that now, first of all, they don't have enough hotel rooms for everybody because there's not that many hotels in Qatar, and so so they made these little white tents, but they kind of hyped them up, and they look nice online. They look like they got like a little dresser and a little bed and a little nightstand and a TV that looks kind of like a little mini a smaller hotel, we'll say a small hotel room. But apparently when everybody got there, these are just literally white tents, kind of the plastic tents, and they have just a bed in them and just a nightstand in them, and that is it. Then it's just a tent, and that's it. And then the biggest thing before the World Cup started. Now they are a Muslim country, and like I said, they are a theocracy, which is, so they're kind of ruled by the religion. Now Muslims, or most Muslims, I should say, not all Muslims. But I should say the strict Muslims, the conservative ones, it is against the Muslim faith to drink alcohol. All right, and that's true with a lot of religions, not just Muslims. Baptists don't drink, Mormons don't drink. So you've got some other, other religions, not just Muslims, that don't drink because against, their religion. Now, of course, this is the World Cup. You've got people that aren't Muslim. You've got people that love drinking. These are soccer fans, of course. It's like going to a soccer match. It's just like going to a baseball game and having a beer, or having a beer at a football game. All right. And so Budweiser is a sponsor of the World Cup. And what ended up happening is Qatar made a compromise. They said, look, we know people are going to want to drink. We are Muslim. We don't really allow drinking, but we do understand that people are coming from other countries. They're not Muslim, and so they said we'll compromise. We'll set up designated areas for drinking, and we'll sell beer before the game and after the game in these designated areas. Okay, so you can't necessarily have a beer during the game, but you could have a beer before the game, you could have a beer after the game in these designated areas. That was the compromise that they reached. 2 days before the World Cup starts, Qatar says they are not going to allow beer sales of any kind. So as you can imagine, Budweiser flipped their shit because they just spent a shit ton of money being a sponsor for the World Cup, and now they can't even sell their own damn beer at the World Cup. And as you can imagine, all the beer that they sell probably pays for the sponsorship, I imagine. All right. Hell, they probably make money off of it because they're selling so much damn beer, even though it's American piss water. People are still gonna fucking drink beer, right? But so 2 days before they say we're not gonna allow beer sales. All right, so you've got a country that bribed their way into hosting the World Cup, doesn't have enough hotel rooms, doing it the cheap way as far as that goes, has a horrible human rights record, and then they fucked up the whole beer situation. And in fact, Ecuador fans the other day in Spanish were chanting, "We want beer, we want beer," which was fucking hilarious. All right, so that's just to set the stage for the World Cup, though. Okay. So here's kind of the deal with this, and I might have to cut another episode here in part 2 because I'm like almost 15 minutes in here, and my little camera only runs for 30 minutes here, but we got to talk about this World Cup here, and so and then we'll get into some NFL and some college football maybe in the next segment here, so we'll see what happens. So the opening match for the World Cup was on Sunday, and I gotta run going like a motherfucker. So okay, I'm gonna do this here. Put a little beer on my cigar, kind of put out where I want it to get put out at. There we go. All right, kind of do that, and then let me kind of see if I can even up this side right here. All right, just a little bit there. Okay, let's see if we can. See if I can get that evened out there. Okay, but Qatar, the host country, they played Ecuador, and that's when the Ecuador fans were chanting, "We want beer, we want beer." But it was Sunday, and Ecuador shut out Qatar 2-0. And as far as and from what I saw, this was the first time in World Cup history that the host country lost their opening round match. And if there was ever a country that deserved it, it's Qatar. All right. Jesus Christ, man. I tell you what. Monday. Now, just to let you know, the U.S., their group includes Wales, England, and Iran. That's the group that the U.S. is in. And England took care of Iran 6-2 on Monday. Also, the Netherlands defeated Senegal 2-0 as well. And then back in our group, the U.S. and Wales played to a 1-1 tie. And that game's the reason Americans don't like soccer. Okay. All right. Oh, hold on. I gotta suck some more. Hold on, give me a second. Yeah, shit. Get a little. I get that one a little going there, and then maybe here on the back side. Yeah, I didn't light this very well, so I'm sorry. I apologize. Probably always one of my fellow cigar smokers out there. All right, so anyway, So I was teaching class while the game was on, but I was trying to keep an eye on it the best I could. U.S. went up ahead first. They scored a goal, and we're up 1-0. The U.S., I believe, had 3 yellow cards in the game. 3. So it was really sloppy. And then The Wales got a penalty kick in the second half. Kind of one of those touchy calls. I know the U.S. wasn't really too happy with it. It was probably a good play, heads up play by Wales from what I read from the American players. It was one of those calls that probably could have gone either way, but the penalty happened in the box, so Wales got a penalty kick. A beautiful shot. It was a beautiful shot. Goalie guessed right on it, but he just put it in the top right corner, and it was just a really pretty shot. Tied the game at 1. Then we ended up with 9 minutes of stoppage time in the second half, which is a lot if you're not a soccer fan. All right, and to explain stoppage time to you if you're not a soccer fan. So soccer is a little different than all other sports. Americans, we are used to clocks running backwards and then stopping, of course, when there's a stoppage in play. NFL, guy runs out of bounds, clock stops. All right, incomplete pass, clock stops. NBA, same thing. All right, there's a foul, clock stops. You take your free throws. All right, ball goes out of bounds, clock stops. All right, soccer does not have any clock stoppages. The clock is kept by the referee on the field. All right, now he will stop his watch. All right, but he'll stop his watch. But when there's a stoppage in play for an injury or something like that. But the clock continues to run. All right. So when you're watching the game, and also the clock goes up, it doesn't go down. And so you start at 0, and then it goes up in 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, so on and so forth. And so of course they play 45-minute halves. And so after 45 minutes, that'll be halftime. Then you play another 45 minutes, but the clock doesn't reset and go from 0 to 45 again. It just starts at 45 in the second half and then goes up to 120. It goes up to 90. I'm sorry, 120 is 2 hours. It goes up to 90 minutes for an hour and a half. Okay. So that's the way that they do it. Now, at the end of each half, because like I said, for injuries or stoppages in play or anything like that, the clock doesn't stop, but the ref is keeping the clock on the field. So he'll stop his watch. And so at the end of the half, he'll say, okay, there's 2 minutes of stoppage time. All right, because that's how much time was stopped. That's why it's called stoppage time. That's how much time was stopped for injuries or just regular stoppages in play. Okay. So that's why it's called stoppage time. And usually it's only like 2-3 minutes. All right. Once you get 5 minutes of stoppage time, that's a lot. Okay. That's a lot of stoppage time. Second half of the U.S. game, 9 minutes of stoppage time. And there is a lot of, fake injuries in soccer. They do like to flop. Now, every once in a while, you'll see something where you're like, oh, that hurt. Because the guy will get kicked in the shin. And, you'll see it. Like, your guy just straight up kicks him in the shin, or he'll twist it, or they'll twist an ankle, or they'll land awkward. And you can literally see him be like, oh, okay, that's he's legit hurt. That legit sucked. Okay. But a lot of times, the guys will hit the ground and, pretend like they're half dead, and then they come out with the magic spray, and then all of a sudden they're fine. Like, I gave me some of that fucking magic spray, man. The magic spray is just fucking amazing. But they just come out and give them the magic spray, then boom. Now, apparently yesterday, too, there was a lot of issues of cramping, and so a lot of guys were cramping up on both the Wales side and the U.S. side, which was causing stoppages in play because they had to stop play because these guys were cramping up. So we went beyond 9 minutes of stoppage time because there were stoppages in the stoppage time. And but like I said, I mean, that's between all the the legit and people getting hurt, and then the flopping and everything else, and then the cramping and everything else, it just drew the game out. And then you know what I mean. And so, like I said, if you're an American and you watch that game, that's the first soccer match you ever see, you're like, why the fuck do people like this? It was not good, but it was just a bad game. All right, it was just a bad fucking game. Much like, and we'll get into it with the NFL. Like I said, I think I'm just going to divvy this up into 2 parts. And so we'll talk World Cup here in part 1, and then in part 2 here we'll talk some college football, we'll talk some NFL. And we're going to talk about my team because I went to the game since it was here in Houston, and boy, howdy, was it a bad football game. Now, if you saw that for your first NFL game, you were European, you'd be like, why the fuck does anybody watch this shit? This was fucking horrible. All right. Now, if you would have watched that fucking, if you would have watched that fucking Chargers-Chiefs game, you would have been like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. All right. All right. And so it was just a bad, but like I said, that was just a really good example of why people hate fucking soccer in America, because that game was just that bad. All right, and so they got the draw, 1-1. All right. So the top two teams advance. We play England the day after Thanksgiving, which is kind of funny in a regard. It's not like playing England on the 4th of July or anything, but we do play them after the. We do play them the day after Thanksgiving on Friday, and I'm probably going to lose that. And so England's probably going to end up advancing for sure. I mean, England should have no. I mean, they already beat Iran. They should have no problem beating. They should have no problems beating the U.S. and then it'll be between the U.S. and they probably should come out of group play undefeated because England should fucking beat Wales as well. They should come out of group play undefeated, and then it's just so basically it's going to be between Wales and the U.S. But we should have beat Wales. And we didn't. Only scored the one fucking goal. And U.S. national team, men's U.S. national team, I should say, because the women are fucking lit. But the men's U.S. national team just are fucking good. So at least they made the World Cup this year, which they didn't last year or last 4 years ago. So it's just a whole fucking shit show. That's the only game I've really watched, to be completely honest with you. So, so those are the three matches yesterday. Today, let's see. Right now, France and Australia are playing. They are in the 48th minute. While I record this, France is up 2-1 over Australia, and once again in the 48th minute. Also, the big upset of the day. I did not get to see this game because it was early this morning. But Saudi Arabia upsets Argentina 2-1, and that's a huge upset. Huge. All right, so like if this was like the Olympic Games, this would be like, I don't know, Canada beating the U.S. in baseball. Okay, it'd be like some podunk country where basketball's not really that big, beating the United States in the Olympics or something. All right, like if Estonia, like, you know what I mean, beat the U.S. So because Argentina is a powerhouse. Lionel Messi is one of the greatest soccer players of all time. Messi, this is going to be his last World Cup, and Argentina with Messi, man. I mean, the last time they were in the Copa here in the U.S., they ended up losing in the final. Messi got disappointed, and now they get upset by freaking Saudi Arabia, of all things, 2-1 today. But like I said, that is a massive, massive upset in the World Cup. All right, but yeah, I mean, that is college football wise, that's East Carolina beating Alabama. You know what I mean? I mean that's kind of up there with Appalachian State this year. Who the hell did Appalachian State beat? Well, they beat A&M. But that'd be like Appalachian State beating Alabama. All right, I mean that's kind of what Saudi Arabia beating Argentina is. All right, Argentina is Alabama. All right, they're fucking good, and but like I said, it'd be like it'd be the equivalent of something like that, or like if Central Florida beat Alabama or something like that. I mean, it's just that's kind of what it is. Oh, got that back to even. All right, and I gotta ash that. All right, so it doesn't fall into my lap. All right, but so that was huge. Denmark and Tunisia played to a 0-0 tie, and so did Mexico and Poland. That's a little shocking because Mexico is actually pretty good. I don't know. I have no fucking clue how good Poland is, but Mexico usually has a pretty good World Cup team, the World Cup national team, and the fact that they tied 0-0, that's kind of interesting. All right, so. So that's World Cup there, and then let's see. Tomorrow we got Morocco and Croatia, Germany and Japan, Spain and Costa Rica, Belgium and Canada. On Thursday we've got Switzerland and Cameroon, and then Uruguay, South Africa, Portugal, Ghana, Brazil, and Serbia, and then it'll kick back around. And then, like I said, and then because we are in group. Shit, I don't know what group we're in. Yeah, ESPN just says group play. I can't remember what group we're in, but it's just Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D. All right. As far as that goes, but that's who we're in though. We're in a group with, once again, Wales, England, and Iran is who we're in there with. So, and then like I said, on Friday I'll circle back around. So Friday the United States will play again. Game time, it'll be an afternoon game. It'll be a 1 p.m. Central Time. Hold on a second. I'm gonna hit pause there. All right, sorry about that. That was a loud fucking jet that just flew overhead. Okay, but yeah, we'll play England the day after Thanksgiving, Friday at 1 p.m. That should be a good match. We'll see. Actually, we're probably going to get our asses kicked, to be completely honest with you, because, America. But anyway, so that's what's going on. And then, like I said, I'll circle back around. And then, just so you know, if you're not familiar with the World Cup, so you have group play, and the top 2 teams from each group play, and then you basically go to the round of 16. So you'll have 16 teams, and then it'll go to the quarterfinals, semifinals. Then there'll be a third place game, and then the finals, obviously. Okay, and that's the way that shakes out. Just FYI as far as that goes. All right. So I think that's your World Cup shit. Like I said, it's a good thing. The U.S. national team, they got some good young players that are coming up, but they're really inexperienced. And like I said, we're behind when it comes to soccer, because America, we got other sports. We got American football, we've got baseball, we've got basketball. Hockey's a Canadian sport, kind of, technically, but a lot of other countries play hockey too, and so we just kind of is what it is, and we don't really care in America about soccer because we got our own football, So it just kind of is what it is, So anyway, all right, but I got another jet fixing to fly overhead here. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, that's the biggest World Cup upset was Saudi Arabia beating Argentina 2-1. That was a big one. I'm gonna pause. All right. So once again, so in your group you'll play a round robin. So you play 3 games within your group. Oh, come on, Jet. So anyway, you'll play a round robin in your group. So we'll play England, we'll play Wales, and we will play Iran. And then you get 0 points for a loss, 1 point for a draw, and then you get 3 points for a win. It's kind of like hockey, what the NHL does, where the NHL, you get 2 points for a win. Then you get 1 point if you go to overtime, because they changed it now with the shootouts and stuff. Used to be you just got 1 point for a tie, but now, of course, with the shootouts, you still get a point if you make it to overtime, and then you get 0 for just for a loss in regulation. And so they do the points in hockey, and then but that's how they do soccer. They do it on the points, and a lot of when you get to the Olympics and stuff, that's where a lot of them do that. You get so many points for a win, no points for a loss, and then so many for a draw. So there you go. So that's how that's going to work. And then, like I said, top 2 teams from each group go. And so, and then I'll get you down to the round of 16. So, I think, so I think it's the top 2 because we got, I think. Let's see, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, got 32 teams in the tournament. And so, yeah, they'll cut that down in half and do 16. And so, so I think that should be the top 2 in each group. So 32 teams, 4 in each group. All right, 32 divided by 4. Let me do the math on this. It should be, that's 8. Yeah, that's 8. That's 8 groups. So it's, Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, Group E, Group F, Group G, Group H, I think. All right. But yeah, so the top 2 in each group. So you got 8 groups. Yeah, because 8 times 4 is 32. Cut that in half. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's top 2 in each team. Okay, just talking that one out. Okay. All right. So I tell you what, here's what we're going to do with this one. This will just be our World Cup one. And then, like I said, I don't have to change the film, but I've learned, my camera will run out here at the 30, about 32 minutes in or so. So we will wrap this one up. We'll call this one the World Cup. And then let's talk some American football on the next one. And maybe throw some other sports in there too. Okay? All right. So hang tight. Go to part 2. All right.